In this video, we're going to add this in. This is our profile page, and we actually had already created it, but there's nothing there. I'm not, like I said in the previous video, I'm not going to build the top part, just this bottom part. And I'm going to do it a little bit fast compared to my normal pace. Under widgets, I'm going to search for tab bar, and I'm going to drag this tab bar into here. Here we have options to have different tabs. I'm going to delete tab 3, so we only have 1 and 2. Number 1 is going to be my recipes, and number 2 is going to be saved. We're going to choose to edit label style, and now we get all of these controls to actually be able to edit how this looks. Now you can start by editing the text color and font size. I'm just going to make it slightly bigger at 14, but then you can also go down here and play around with the tab properties. Like, you can make it indicator where it has a line under it. You can make it a button, which is what's over here. And you can make it a toggle button where you switch between the two. I'm just going to keep it indicator. I think that looks nice and clean. I'm going to increase the margin a little bit so it's a little lower. Now to edit what's in each one, you just switch and then work on editing that. So I can edit this, it doesn't change anything here, and I just switch back and forth. Now we want to have this sort of scrolling thing. This is a stack, so what we're going to do is start in my recipes and delete the text. Here we just have a tab bar page, and we want to drag in a list view. From there, we want to drag in a container. We can let this stretch the entire way. Click on the list view, add some padding. I'm going to say 16 pixels on all sides. Actually 32 on the left and right. And I'm going to make the height 150. With 12 pixels of rounding on all corners. In this container, I'm going to drag a stack. This stack is going to have two things. First is an image. I'm going to go here to the widget tree so we can see everything clearly. This widget is going to stretch the entire width and the entire height of its parent container. I'm going to give it a border radius of 12. This stack is also going to have a row. We're going to make the row flush to the bottom and then have 8 pixels of padding on all sides. This row is going to have two things, a column with 2 pieces of text in it. And then I'm also going to click on the row, click over here to add a child, and choose a toggle icon. This is similar to a regular icon, and I'll show you the difference. We haven't used it before, but it's a small subtle thing that is going to make building so much easier. I'm going to make this row the split between so they're switched, and then make them the cross-axis alignment down here so they both go to the bottom. On this column, I'm going to choose contract instead of expand, so it only takes up this much space. The column is going to have actually 4 pixels of item spacing. This first text is going to be semi-bold white, and it's going to be 14 pixels. The second text is semi-bold white, 11 pixels. I'm going to click back on the column. These are going to be left aligned. Now we can click on this toggle icon. So we can see here we have a toggle value, and then what the icon looks like when it's true, and then a toggle value, and then what the icon looks like when it's false. I'm just going to start by setting up both of these. We want it to be white for both of them, so it stands out against the image. And it's going to be a star. So when it's true, we want this filled in star, like it's saved, and when it's not true, we are going to have this filled out star. And we'll change the toggle value shortly. This looks great. One thing is I actually got ahead of myself. This list view, I'm going to copy. We actually want this in saved and a slightly different variation in my recipes. On this one, instead of a toggle icon, you can just have a regular icon, and this would be something like edit 25. I'm not going to show you how to add the workflow, but it's almost the exact same as what we have on our home page to here, with the exception of the specific recipe that you're sending. On this My Recipes, on the list view, I want to add a query. This is going to be a query collection. I just want to get all of the recipes where, and this time I'm going to add a filter, where created by is equal to our current user. So our authenticated user is user reference. We just want to get all of the recipes that I've created. Now I'm going to click confirm, and it's going to generate our children. One thing we forgot on this list view is to add item spacing. So I'm just going to add 8 pixels, and that looks much better. Now we can go in here and make all of this dynamic. I'm not going to show you how to do that as we've had tons of practice. Now that we've got this working as expected, we can now add the functionality to be able to, for a user to be able to save a recipe. Now in order to do that, we need to have some place where we're storing the recipes that a user has saved. If we look here, there is no place to store that, and likewise on recipe, while there is saved, which is an integer count of how many times it's saved, there's no way to see that user A has saved a recipe about how to make ice cream. In order to store this information, we need to add another field. I'm going to call this saved recipes, and this is going to be a document reference to a recipe, and it's going to be a list because they can have multiple saved recipes. And I'm just going to click check. Perfect. Now that we have that place to store it, and if the recipe saved is going to be stored there, we can then fix this saved tab. So on the list view, we want to run some sort of query, but instead of running a backend query, all we need to do is generate children from variable. This will be saved recipes, and that's literally the list we're pointing it to. On value, we're going to go to authenticated user, and we want to get the authenticated user's saved recipes, and just click confirm. We're going to save this, and it's going to generate our dynamic children. I want to go back and add in our 8 pixels of gap spacing, and now we can set this all up to be dynamic. But we need to do one extra step. So if we look on our list view and go to our query, we can see that we're just assigning saved recipes to this. And saved recipes, if we look here, is a list of references. So what we're doing is we're pointing these to the recipes. But that's it. It's just a pointer. Right now, we aren't retrieving the actual recipe. What we need to do is go on the container in our list view and run another query. This is going to be a backend query to get a document from reference. The document we're getting is of type recipe, and we're going to get this saved recipes item. Notice how when we click on it, there's no additional information. We actually can't see the components of the recipe. We just have this path, this arrow. So we can click on this, and now this will retrieve the actual recipe. That way, when we go to image, we can go here and click on our recipe document and then map it to the image. And we can do the same for all of these. What this toggle icon will do is when this condition that I'm going to set is true, it's going to show this. And when the user clicks on it, it's then going to make this condition false. I'll show you what I mean. First thing we need to do is go on the page and add a query. This is going to get a document from reference, and we want to get our user document. The reason we want to do this is so we can then access the saved much more easily. Now when I go on our toggle icon, here we see this user document, which we wouldn't previously see if we hadn't done the query. And we can access this list of saved recipes. We want the condition here to be that saved recipes contains our recipe document, and we just want to say the reference. When this is true, we're going to see the star, and when they click on it, it's then going to remove this recipe from that item. You'll see this in action, but first, in order to test it out, we need to have some recipes saved. So we're going to add the same functionality to our star buttons over here, star icons over here. On this row, I'm going to click and add a toggle icon and remove this icon over here. This toggle icon is going to be our primary color and then the star, just like before. And now we can add a very similar workflow. I want to show you, so if we don't run the query, we can't access that user document. But if on this popular recipes container, we add a query to get the user based on the user reference we see here. Then when we click on this toggle icon, we now see a user document. Now we can add the query. I'm going to click on this and choose our user document and go to our saved recipes. Then we want to say list contains our popular recipe items reference. Popular recipe items is what this whole thing is populated with. And then just click confirm. Now clicking on this will allow us to add something to our saved. Let's try this out. Okay, so we can see by default, all of these stars are empty because we have nothing saved. When I click on this, we see the star then retains that, and we can do that for both of these. Now when I go to my profile, my recipes, you can see all the recipes. We can fix this text in a bit, but when I go to saved, we see 2 as well. If I go back and I unstar one of these, we should only see chocolate ice cream, and go back here to saved, we only see chocolate ice cream. Now if I start both of these, go back to saved, it's really hard to see, we should fix the colors. But here there's a little star icon. If I click on it, we then see it disappear, and back here it's not starred anymore. So this functionality is central to creating many applications. This is how like functionality would work in a social media platform, saved of course. And understanding how to use toggle buttons will make your life so much easier. To fix this, what you can do is click on the row over here, right click and choose wrap widget and choose to wrap it in a container. This won't change anything except it gives you a couple more settings. Now you can add a fill color, and you can do something really dark and try to make it a little more transparent like that. To make it even nicer, you can add a gradient, have a transparent black as your secondary color, and then make your primary color completely transparent, so it just fades away like that. If you let the height stretch the whole way, then you get this nice gradient. You can play around with the transparency to make these stand out more. And this is how it looks. This is the before and this is the after. All of this is just to show you that you can be creative with it. At this point, we've created a fully functional application. We started with signing in, signing up, then we enabled the user to create a recipe, edit one, delete one, search through a list of some, and now we have made it so that they can save a recipe. Congratulations! In the next video, we will just briefly cover some next steps. But I'm so proud of you for sticking with it and acquiring the skills to create your applications, to bring your ideas to life.